The slap echoed through the wedding hall like a thunderclap. For a heartbeat, the music stopped, the laughter froze, and all the glittering guests turned to stare. My cheek burned, not from the pain, but from the humiliation that crawled beneath my skin. And as I stood there, henna still wet on my hands, a garland slipping from my wrist, I realized something terrible. This wasn't just a wedding gone wrong. It was the moment my family's hidden truths decided to surface. If you think a slap is the worst thing that can happen to a mother, wait until you learn why it happened.
My name is Shahana. For 25 years, my world revolved around my son, Ayan. After my husband died in a car accident, life became a series of small sacrifices, extra shifts at the tailoring shop, skipped meals, and a silent promise whispered into a pillow every night. My boy will never feel the emptiness I do. When he graduated with honors and landed a job in a software firm, neighbors told me I'd raised a miracle. I smiled proudly, yet somewhere deep inside, I felt the first tremor of fear, the kind only mothers understand. Because when a son's world expands, a mother's place begins to shrink. Then came the day Ayan mentioned her. He tried to sound casual. Ammi, there's someone I want you to meet. Her name was Zara.
Zara arrived at my home one Sunday afternoon. She stepped from her car wearing a pale pink dress that shimmered when the light caught it. Her perfume smelled like white lilies and expensive confidence. She hugged me lightly. "Hello, Mom. I've heard so much about you." Her voice was soft, but there was a glint in her eyes, an assessing spark, as though she were measuring the house, the curtains, and maybe even me. Over tea, she spoke about her parents, business owners, educated abroad, and her dreams of starting her own fashion brand. Ayan listened with the proud grin of a man who thought he'd found perfection. I wanted to be happy for him, truly, but every time Zara called me Mom, it felt rehearsed, like a line she'd practiced. When she left, I told Ayan she seemed confident. He laughed. "That's what I love about her. She knows what she wants." I smiled, but my heart whispered, and she'll make sure she gets it. Their engagement preparation started almost immediately. Zara's mother, Mrs. Farida, called me the next morning. "Shahana Bibi, we were thinking of hosting the ceremony at the Royal Pearl Hotel. It's elegant, and after all, our only daughter deserves the best." The best. Those two words would haunt me for months. I wanted something intimate, maybe at our old community hall where Ayan had celebrated his birthdays. But each of my suggestions was met with polite dismissal. When I finally said, "It's just that hotels are expensive," Farida Begum chuckled. "Don't worry, we'll handle it. You just bring your blessings." The words were kind on the surface, but beneath them lay a boundary. You may be the mother, but this celebration belongs to us. The engagement night dazzled with gold lights, live music, and a guest list longer than the bride's gown. I stood in a corner, clutching my small purse, watching Ayan feed Zara a piece of cake while the cameras flashed. She glanced toward me once, her smile perfectly polite, perfectly distant. Later, as I helped collect gift envelopes, I overheard two of her cousins whisper, "She's marrying down, isn't she?" The other giggled. "At least the boy's handsome." Their laughter sliced through me like glass. When the guests left, I approached Ayan. "Beta, are you sure her family respects ours?" He frowned. "Mom, please, don't start again. You worry too much." But I couldn't shake the feeling that the distance between us had already begun. After the engagement, Ayan started changing, not overnight, just in small, painful ways that only a mother would notice. He began working longer hours, spending weekends with Zara's family in Kensington. When he did come home, he brought gifts, silk scarves, expensive chocolates, perfumes I'd never heard of. And though he said, "Ami, these are from Zara," the gifts felt like quiet apologies for the time he no longer gave me. One night, I cooked his favorite biryani and waited. The clock struck 11 and still no sign of him. Finally, a message came. "Sorry, Ami, dinner is Zara's tonight, don't wait." I sat alone at the table, staring at the untouched food. For years, I had dreamed of seeing my son's home filled with laughter and the smell of his wife's cooking. But somehow, the laughter seemed to belong somewhere else. 3 months before the wedding, Zara's family took over every arrangement. They hired a wedding planner, selected the menu, even chose the stage decor without consulting me. When I offered to make the family sweet dish, my late husband's recipe, Farida smiled tightly. "Oh no, Mom. We'll have professional caterers. We don't want you tiring yourself." The words sounded kind, but I felt the wall between us growing taller. One evening, I asked Zara if she would wear our family heirloom necklace, my mother's gold piece from her wedding. She hesitated. "It's beautiful, Mom, but my outfit's theme is silver. Maybe another time." That night, I opened my jewelry box and stared at the necklace glinting under the light. My reflection in the mirror looked older than I remembered. Maybe love really does fade quietly, like gold losing its shine over years. A week before the wedding, something strange happened. I went to deliver some embroidered shawls to Zara's house. When I entered, I heard voices from the drawing room. Farida's sharp tone cut through the air. "That woman is pretending to be simple, but she insulted us. She said our family is greedy." My heart froze. I stepped closer and heard Zara's shaky voice reply, "Mom, are you sure she said that?" Farida hissed, "Do you think I'd lie? She told the jeweler we demand too much. Don't you dare let her disrespect our name." My breath caught. I had said no such thing. All I told the jeweler was, "I can't afford such expensive designs, but I'll pray for their happiness." That was all. I stepped back quietly, my hands trembling. Should I confront them or stay silent and protect my son's peace? I chose silence. That was my biggest mistake. The morning of the wedding, London skies were heavy with clouds, as if the heavens already knew what was coming. Guests filled the grand hall, crystal chandeliers glittering, violins humming softly, laughter echoing like wind chimes. I arrived early, wearing the gold sari I'd saved for years. When I saw Ayan in his wedding attire, my eyes filled with pride. But he looked nervous. "Mom, please, no arguments today. Just peace, okay?" His tone hurt, but I nodded. As the ceremony began, Zara walked down the aisle like a queen, draped in silver, diamonds sparkling, eyes lowered modestly. She looked stunning and untouchable. After the nikah, I went to bless her. I held her hands gently, tears welling up. "May God bless you with love and patience," I said softly. She pulled her hands away. Her face twisted, and before I could understand what was happening, slap. A loud, sharp crack cut through the hall. Gasps. Silence. The violinist stopped mid-note. Someone dropped a tray. My cheeks stung. My ears rang. Zara's voice trembled with rage. "How dare you insult my mother? How dare you call her greedy in front of everyone?" I stared at her, frozen, the world spinning around me. "I never said that," I whispered. But she was already crying, shouting, surrounded by guests pulling her close. Farida rushed in dramatically. "Zara, calm down. Don't ruin your own wedding over her words." Her words. Her lie. I looked at Ayan. He stood still, pale, torn between me and his new bride. He didn't speak. Not a word. In that single moment, I realized something worse than the slap itself. My son no longer knew who I really was. The rest of that night passed in a blur. I remember someone taking me aside, pressing a glass of water into my shaking hands. Some whispered that I must have said something. Others stared at me as though I'd committed a crime. When I finally reached home, the silence of my little flat was deafening. I sat on the bed, my cheeks still swollen, and cried without sound. I wasn't crying because she slapped me in public. I cried because my son didn't defend me. Days passed, no call, no message. The newspapers from the community wedding pages published photos of the couple. Perfect smiles, glittering outfits. My name was missing, even from the list of guests. A week later, I gathered courage and called Ayan. He picked up after the third ring. "Mom, please don't make things worse," he said, his voice distant. "Worse?" I whispered. "Ayan, I'm your mother. How can you even believe I'd insult her?" He sighed. "Mom, people heard you. Zara was crying. Let's just forget it." Forget it. 2 words that broke 25 years of motherhood in half. That night, I deleted his number. But I didn't delete his contact name, because mothers don't erase their children. They just learn to live with the silence. Months passed. Spring came, flowers bloomed, and my flat felt emptier than ever. One afternoon, there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, I saw a young woman, one of Zara's cousins, Hina. Her eyes were red, as if she'd been crying. "Mom," she said softly, "please forgive me for coming unannounced. I needed to tell you something." I invited her in. She hesitated, then spoke in a trembling voice. "I was there that day. I heard what really happened before the wedding." She told me everything. Farida, in her pride, had twisted my innocent words to make me look small. She'd told Zara that I called her family greedy, just to ensure Zara wouldn't ever grow close to me. "She wanted to keep Zara under her control," Hina whispered. "She said, if she loves her mother-in-law too much, she'll forget who raised her." My heart went cold. So it wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a carefully planted lie. Tears welled in my eyes. I could forgive mistakes, but this was cruelty. "Please, don't tell Zara I told you," Hina pleaded. "She's already pregnant and fragile. The truth might destroy her peace." I nodded slowly. "Thank you, Beta. You've done what was right." That night, I sat by the window, watching the London rain streak across the glass. Sometimes the truth doesn't heal. It just reopens wounds we thought had faded. A year later, I received a call from an unknown number. "Mom!" It was Zara. Her voice cracked on the second word. She was in the hospital. She'd given birth to a baby boy, my grandson. Without thinking, I went. When I entered the room, Zara was pale, her eyes swollen from crying. Ayan stood beside her, guilt written all over his face. Zara reached for my hand. "Mom, I found out everything." Hina told Ayan the truth. My mother admitted it before she passed away. I froze. Farida was gone, and with her, the wall between us had finally begun to crumble. Zara's tears spilled onto my hand. "I was blinded by anger," she whispered. "I thought you looked down on my family. I was wrong, so wrong. Please, forgive me." For a long moment, I couldn't speak. All the humiliation, all the loneliness, all the nights I spent praying for peace, they crowded my heart at once. But when I looked at her trembling fingers clutching mine, I realized anger only builds graves between people who could have loved each other. I brushed her hair gently. "Forgiveness isn't something I have to think about," I said softly. "It's something I've already done." Ayan began to cry quietly. He bent down and kissed my hand. "Mom, I'm sorry," he whispered. "You deserved better than our silence." In that moment, the pain melted. Not completely, but enough for love to return. Months later, I often visit them. Zara insists I stay longer, cooks my favorite food, and tells me stories while I hold my grandson in my lap. Sometimes, when I look at that little boy's eyes, I see Ayan's innocence again, the one I thought I'd lost forever. People in our community still whisper about that wedding, the slap, the scandal, the drama. But I don't defend myself anymore, because I've learned something greater. The loudest moments of pain often lead to the quietest kinds of healing. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, it rewrites the future. And every time Zara hugs me before I leave, whispering, "Good night, Mom," I smile, because I know that the same hands which once slapped me now holds mine with love.